Welcome to the last match of the day where we have the Weekend Warriors going up against Templis CALSF, and they're bringing two very similar comps that we have seen several times today. However, they each have their own interesting, unique take on it, with Templis CALSF bringing two Nighthawks, three Lokis, a Bifrost, which is a little new, two Sfipples, and two Scalpels. Maud, tell me about the Weekend Warriors.
The Weekend Warriors have gone for a similar comp as you've mentioned, with one less Nighthawk, but an additional Loki, Bifrost, and Swiples. And I'm not liking it for the Weekend Warriors. Those extra Lokis are going to be relatively more weak to those incoming Scourge missiles. We'll see what the initial primary is. One of the Nighthawk, Jackdaw deleted immediately, or O'Rourke will be the primary for Weekend Warriors. It looks like Jackdaws are going to be the first choice for that Templis CALSF side, and they're just clearing off all of the tackle immediately, trading that for half of a shield on one of the Templis CALSF Nighthawks.
Yeah, Templis CALSF is doing I think they definitely watched that Warlords match and they're like, oh, I see. If we shoot the small stuff first, then we take less damage. And they're just methodically going through the entire Weekend Warriors support thing. All three Jackdaws are down. Kieran's down. I think this next Kieran's about to drop probably before I finish talking about it. And Aurora Nighthawk is still holding somehow.
Yeah, like you said, one of those that Kieran is jammed, he's webbed, nuded, painted, and now dead. And now Aurora, however you say his name, is still alive. Yeah, looks like it's just a commanding lead for Templis CALSF, just choosing better primaries, honestly. I didn't think with the initial, incoming ships that it would go this way, but it turns out it's going very well for them.
Yeah, you were correct with like the three Nighthawks versus the two Nighthawks, where there's a lot more kinetic DPS that they could have pumped into those Lokis, but it seemed to not have mattered. Where Oracle finally goes down, but he's going down at the same time as Flip Frags, and we're kind of seeing like the evolution of this meta a little bit, where clearly just wiping out that entire support wing right off the bat is the call to do, instead of trying to burn through a Nighthawk, which is still one of the tankiest battlecruisers in the game.
Yeah, and we see the rate that Mashi and Killa on each side, Nighthawks, are getting traded, and it's working much better for Killa on the side of Templis CALSF, with those Scalpels being up, and those Repbots on top of him, generously upping the shield. Like, look, Killa taking no damage, Mashi already about to break. More or less, these teams, you can see who's done like the calculation, for how fast can we trade damage, how fast will our ships, out rep, and that translating into just better primary calls, where Templis CALSF is just utterly wiping the floor with Weekend Warriors here.
Yeah, and I was right there with you when I saw the Templis team. I was like, why the heck is there a Bifrost there? Because, you definitely are choosing, instead of that, like the triple Sfipple and the Nighthawks and the Lokis, they brought a Bifrost instead. And the Bifrost doesn't have any guns, but I guess something about that extra links did it for them. Maybe that's the difference, but I do really think it's the target calling. I mean, I don't know. This is something to watch. All of you guys who want to copy this, if anyone has not figured out that this is kind of a cookie cutter thing you got to be set up for tomorrow, make sure you kill those Jackdaws first, or those Fipples, or whatever the small thing is they choose to bring. And yeah, you're totally right on that. I mean, this really came down to target callings. I am seeing something in local. Someone's talking about the mid slots. So I'm wondering if there was a little bit of shenanigans going on here.
Yeah, it's quite possible that one side just decided that they were going to fit like extra kinetic hardeners, which would explain why the Nighthawks on Weekend Warriors just seem to be doing such anemic damage. That is entirely possible when you get to this point in an event. You can just decide, hey, we don't know what the other team's going to bring, but if we roll into this, we're just going to be in a much more commanding position with those kind of specific racial hardeners ready to go.
Yeah, and both teams are refusing to give away the trade secret. I have a feeling you're probably correct. I bet you that they did some kind of like specific kinetic hardener or something on the Nighthawk, and that might be the reason why Templis just did not die at all. They might have been running like a 92% resist Nighthawk that just ignored all of the damage, or maybe they didn't even put. It's possible they didn't even put a prop mod on it. They're just like, all right, cool, we'll just sit here right here and see what happens. So interesting choices. I mean, that's something that I guess we haven't haven't really talked about is that these fits, that can be the change. Even in these mirror matches, they can totally switch their fits around and be something totally different.
Yeah, and again, I'm sure both of these teams have practiced the setup plenty, but again, like when it comes down to it, uh, target calling, like you were mentioning, and these choice of specific hardeners will be what carries it for you in the very end.
Yeah, and as this last Loki goes down, I'm going to super duper neener. I know what the fit differences were, but I'm not going to talk about them. So apparently, if you contract a Vanquisher to Aurora, he will give you the secret of Templis CALSF's fits. So, just giving that out there. If you guys really are curious, it's only going to cost you several hundred billion ISK. And that does mean that both Templis and Tuskers are going to be vying for that guaranteed second place tomorrow.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Should be an excellent match. I'm sure the desk will have plenty to say about that as we send it back to them.